Good afternoon. I am calling to order the Planning Commission meeting. It is 4:30 on Thursday, January 26, 2023. First item on the agenda is a welcome to our new commission member, is Joe Schatsko. Welcome.
Thank you.
Do you want to introduce all of the members quick? John, do you want to start?
Sure, I'm John Nisley. I'm the planner with the City of New Ulm.
Schatsko.
Selner.
Ann Earl?
Larry Mack.
Kate Mako.
And Joe, we have two other commission members that aren't here this evening. We have Dave Munson, and then we also have Ashley Aukus.
And our mayor is in the audience, Kathleen Backer. Okay. Next item on the agenda is the received notice of secretary position for the planning commission. That would have been Kate. Kate was voted in last month but hasn't accepted yet. Are you willing to serve?
I would accept.
Okay, thank you very much. That's good to hear. Next, we have the public hearing to consider the application of the Dayton Hudson Corporation requesting a conditional use permit to allow warehousing in a B3 community business zoning district at 1914 South Broadway. Staff?
Right, thank you. So the applicant here is Eric Bodie on behalf of the Dayton Hudson Corporation. Property owner is Dayton Hudson Corporation. The legal description is Lot 1, Block 1, Broadway, First Edition, and the street address is 1914 South Broadway. The property location is, the property is located between 18th and 20th South Streets and west of South Broadway. Deadline for this decision is March 11th, 2023. The land use designation from the city's comprehensive plan designates this property as business. Surrounding land uses to the north are business, to the east business, south business, west is park and open space. The zoning designation for this property is B3, it's the community business district. Surrounding zoning includes to the north B3, to the east B3, to the south B2, which is the service business district, and then to the west, which is AOS, which is agricultural open space. Current site and land use. This property is currently vacant. It was formerly the Target retail store. Current area land uses. To the north, we have self-storage buildings and advanced auto parts. To the east, we have Heartland Tire and an insurance agency. To the south, we have Burger King, Woodview Dental Clinic, and Junior Pioneers Park. To the west, we have South Market Park, and then again, Junior Pioneer Park. Notice was provided to all property owners within 350 feet of the subject property and published in the Journal on January 14th of 2023. We did have one request for a map showing the location of the property under consideration, and that map was emailed to the individual. Other than that, we have received no other comments regarding this application. So a description of the project. The purpose of the B3 zoning district is to provide a district for the establishment of major retail and service centers in the city where both adequate land area and major transportation access can be provided. Such a district shall allow for the concentration of business uses that draw customers from both within and outside the community. The property under consideration was rezoned with the adoption of Appendix A of the City Code, the zoning ordinance, on April 4th, 2022. There is a limited amount of B3 zone property in New Ulm. This district was established for commercial and retail businesses, and it was anticipated that the zoning district would be small in size. Permitted uses in the B3 district include a combination of public and private and institutional uses, retail, service, light manufacturing, and light industrial businesses. Other business activities of the same character as those listed as permitted uses are allowed in the B2 zoning district with a conditional use permit. A warehousing facility is a permitted use in the I-1 planned industrial and I-2 general industrial zoning districts with a conditional use permit, and in the B2 zoning district. City Council recently voted to amend the B3 zoning regulations to allow warehousing and warehousing wholesale facilities with a conditional use permit in the B3 zoning district. This amendment will go into effect on February 19th, 2023. So they had 2 readings of that zoning amendment. It goes into effect 30 days after the second reading. The total lot area is approximately 6.83 acres, and the application provides the following information on the project. The shipping and receiving area was set up to take truck traffic on 18th South Street and push it back out onto 20th South Street, or come in on 20th South Street and bring it back out on 18th South Street to avoid going through any district or neighborhood. If the entire building were to be used for warehousing, that would allow for the front acreage to be able to be redeveloped into new office, retail, and commercial, or a commercial park with additional green space as well. In front of the existing building, if in front of the existing building were unusable for retail or commercial, there would most likely be a majority of the building vacant, as there would not be too many tenants in that category looking for this large or deep of a building. The applicant notes that this would fit nicely into surrounding developments, including the office space, restaurant, and auto parts store and storage units. The loading docks are located in the rear, having a designated drive lane to access 18th South Street and 20th South Street upon arriving and departing. No outdoor storage is being proposed at this time. The applicant noted that the last use for this building was 7 years ago. Last use for this building 7 years ago was a 90,000 square foot retail store. There hasn't been very many retailers looking for that size of space, and most likely that will not change. The redevelopment of this entire parcel would bring a fresh look to the corner. It would allow for the reuse of the parking lot, the addition of commercial and retail in that area, while making the existing building useful for another need. Whether the existing building is partially used for retail and partially for warehouse, or completely for warehouse, and the parking lot used for new retail, office, and commercial development, it will make it look much nicer than currently sitting vacant. I should note that we have parking requirements for different types of uses. So for a warehouse use, they would be required to have 90 parking spaces for this project. Those spaces would be provided in the current parking lot area where there are already 450 spaces. In order to recommend approval of the permit, the commission will need to determine that 1, the proposed use is of the same general character as permitted uses in the B3 zone, and the request complies with the conditions required for granting of the conditional use permit. That's section 9.82, subdivision 2 of the zoning ordinance. So on the reverse side of the conditional use permit application, it lists 8 questions and the applicant's response to them. The 8th question asked, why should the city approve your request? The applicant's response is as follows. The city should approve this request for multiple reasons. The last use of this building was 7 years ago, was a 90,000 square foot retail store. There hasn't been very many retailers looking for that size of space, and most likely that will not change. The redevelopment of this parcel will bring a fresh look to the corner. It would allow for the reuse of the parking lot, the addition of commercial and retail in that area, while making the existing building useful for another need. Whether the existing building is partially used for retail and partially used for warehouse, or completely warehouse and the parking lot used for new retail, office, and commercial development, it will make it look nicer than the currently sitting vacant. There are multiple other retail structures in town that have been repurposed into other such things as the buildings that now house the Riverbend Education District on South Broadway. There is also the former Runnings building behind the new Quick Trip on the north end that is being used for warehouse and is no longer retail. So in order to grant a conditional use permit, the Planning Commission and City Council must make affirmative findings on all of the criteria in order to grant a conditional use permit. The applicant has the burden of proof to show that all of the criteria have been satisfied. We had 6 attachments with this staff report. The first attachment is the application and site and building plan. Second attachment is the site location map. Attachment number 3 is the zoning map. Attachment 4 is the site map. Attachment 5 is ground level photos of the property, and then attachment 6 is the staff completed findings of fact form. Staff recommendation. Staff would recommend approval of the request for the following reasons. 1, the application complies with conditions required for granting a conditional use permit in section 9.82 of the city code. 2, the proposed use is of the same general character as some of the permitted uses in the B3 zoning district. 3, it is not anticipated that warehousing in this B3 location will have an adverse effect on surrounding properties. 4, parking provided, the parking provided for the warehouse is already available on site. 5, this is a reasonable use of a large property that has been vacant for 7 years. It's unlikely that another big box retailer will be interested in this site given its proximity to Mankato. Okay. Staff recommended 12 conditions, and I put them each in front of you, and I can make them available to all you in the audience as well if you'd like. But we had a slight change from the staff report that went out to the Planning Commission on Tuesday.
I go to next. No, my screen isn't working. Okay.
So the staff recommended conditions are: 1, that the applicant and property owner will pay the cost to record the permit with the Brown County Recorder's Office. 2, no exterior storage will be permitted on the property. 3, the applicant/property owner will provide and maintain the required number of parking spaces. 4, the project will be conducted and operated as described in the application and will be attached as Exhibit 1 to the permit. 5, the approval of the request shall not take effect until ordinance number 2023-69 takes effect. Again, that's February 19th. The development agreement that applies to this property shall be amended or replaced by a new superseding agreement to reflect proposed changes from the new use of the property. 7, the current bike/pedestrian easement will be in favor of the city that shall be amended to address alignment changes required by the Community Development Department. 8, property should comply with the city's noise regulations as described in section 8.08 of the city code. 9, if the owner of the property violates the city's noise regulations, the owner shall install noise mitigating measures as approved by the Community Development Department. 10, truck traffic entering or leaving the property shall not use nearby streets and residential zoning districts except on such routes, times, and frequencies as expressly authorized in writing by the Community Development Department.
Thanks.
11, the property owner shall notify all users of the warehouse space of the conditions imposed on the property. And then 12, any approval is subject to written authorization of the conditional use permit application by the Dayton Hudson Corporation. Staff also provided 2 potential motions, one in favor of approval of the conditional use permit, and then one to deny the conditional use permit. I would like to note staff has been in consultation with the city engineer's office regarding the pavement and use of 18th specifically. And they said that currently that already sees semi-truck traffic coming from Shell's Brewery. It formerly saw semi-truck traffic coming from the Target property. The current blacktop was installed in 1999 and is nearing the end of its life. And they anticipate replacing that probably in the next 5 years or so. They didn't have a concern of warehousing and semis using that street at this time. And that would conclude the staff report.
Thank you. I did have a few questions. I had gotten a couple calls, and one of them you just answered because there were several people that seemed to be concerned about truck traffic and could it handle, and I thought, well, it was a warehouse basically before when Target had it, so it would have had truck traffic before. The other one is regarding putting putting another like small mall or something in the front of the current to put other retail space in the parking lot. Is there enough space for that? And is it zoned for that if it's zoned to be warehouse now?
Okay, great question. So we aren't actually changing the zoning of the property.
Okay.
All B3 uses that were allowed previously will still be allowed. What we're
Okay.
doing here is requesting a conditional use permit. So it's a use that hadn't been allowed in the B3 to now be allowed in the B3. And there is plenty of room in front of that building with setbacks and everything to do
Okay.
further redevelopment.
So they could still redevelop and leave that as in a B3 area?
Oh, yes.
Put in a small mall?
Absolutely.
Okay, that was the one question. I'm going to open it up for other questions, and Eric is here also. Eric, would you like a chance to?
Eric Bodie, 304 South German Street, New Ulm. Yeah, no, I don't have anything. I can answer questions though if anybody has any.
Thank you.
Yep.
Guess I have a question for staff. Is number 7 on the conditions, what are you anticipating for the bicycle trail?
So what we would like to do, the current easement, the way it aligns, follows the property line. And that property line makes a 90-degree turn as, let's just imagine going
We
from,
put it on the map? Or on the
maybe Ron can put it on the map.
I guess,
Yeah, Ron, why don't you put on the site map? I think it's attachment 5.
okay.
Or sorry, attachment 4.
Yeah.
Scroll down further to attachment 4.
I think that's number 4 right there, John,
No,
in front of you.
that's the site location map.
Site map.
Yeah.
Yep, keep going down one more, Ron. There you go. I don't know if the mic will follow me up there. But if you look on the west property line here, where there is a little indent, the property extends a little bit further to the west, then it kind of follows the ravine, and then it goes back east towards the parking lot.
Right,
That's also part of the alignment of the bike trail, and it makes a 90-degree turn at where that property line makes a 90-degree turn. Follows the property line almost exactly.
Okay.
So what we're proposing is to change the development agreement, work with the property owner to smooth that alignment out on their property, so we don't have that 90-degree turn. So it makes it a little bit easier for bikers and pedestrians to use the bike trail if that were developed in that area.
Are we going to work with our bicycle group in town on that?
Yeah.
In those capacities? That's all I had. Somebody brought up.
Okay, thank you.
are there any other questions? Comments?
So, from the development, from the storefront, right? Is that gonna be, is the idea that it's inside the current building and it's just brought, given like multiple accesses as like a mini mall?
Yeah, sure. So the two options are to either take, a chunk of the front of the existing building and lease it out as a retail kind of thing, if there's an option to do that. The other option would be is if that whole building was warehouse all the way to the front of it, redo the landscape to the front of it to let it kind of blend in with what's there, and then build freestanding buildings out in the parking lot. So either or. Yep.
Yeah,
Correct.
that's what I kind of thought was portrayed, but I didn't.
Correct. Yep.
It would be great to see some type of green development out there. You know, with all the work we're doing with the comprehensive plan, that's a lot of the discussion is how do we create some green areas that invite people in. So that would be great to see there. It's a lot of concrete right now.
Agreed. Yes.
Any other questions? Comments?
Before making a motion, I can read the findings of fact, the staff completed findings of fact. We do have to read those for the record.
Do you want to, we usually close the public hearing before that.
Yep.
So my computer is kafutzed here, so Larry and I are sharing.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Eric. So if there are no other comments or questions, I am going to close the public hearing portion of the meeting and let you go in and do your finding of facts. Thank you, John.
All right, thank you. So the findings of fact, what we go through are the questions on a conditional use permit application and make determinations on whether or not that meets the city zoning ordinance regulations. So staff provides responses to them. The planning commission can either agree with them or disagree with them or change them. So Question number 1, is the proposed use allowed as a conditional use in the zoning district in which it is proposed? Staff said yes. The City Council approved the amendment to the zoning ordinance to allow warehousing in a B3 zoning district with a conditional use permit. This ordinance takes effect on February 19th, 2023. And then we typically ask the planning commission, do they agree with that or disagree with that?
Agreed.
Yes.
Number 2, is the use consistent with the applicable policies, recommendations, and regulations of the city's comprehensive plan, other adopted land use studies, and Appendix A? Staff responded yes. The comprehensive plan designates this area as business. In other areas of the community, we have allowed storage and business designations with a conditional use permit.
Does everyone agree with that?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, number 3, will the use adversely impact nearby properties through nuisance, noise, traffic, dust, odor, or unsightliness? And will not otherwise adversely impact health, safety, and welfare of the community? Staff responded, no, it's not anticipated that the use of the property as warehousing will adversely impact nearby properties, given its distance from residential areas and the enforcement of the city's noise regulations.
Everyone agree?
4, will the use be injurious or hazardous to the use and enjoyment of other property in the vicinity and impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding property for uses permitted in the district? Staff responded, no. The site has already been developed and we have conditions directing semi-truck traffic using the site away from residential areas. The area around the property is either park or developed property.
Everyone agree?
Yes.
5, will the use be designated, constructed, operated, and maintained in a manner that is compatible in appearance with the existing or intended character of the surrounding area? Staff responded yes. The applicant has not proposed any major changes to the exterior of the building. The loading and unloading of the warehouse goods will be from the existing semi-loading docks in the building.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Okay, 6, the use will not substantially diminish or impair the value of neighboring properties. Staff responded yes. It is not anticipated the use will affect surrounding property values and will be filling a currently vacant building.
Does everyone agree with that?
Yes.
Okay.
7, the site is adequately served by and will not impose a burden on essential public facilities and services, including utilities, streets, drainage, police, and fire protection, and schools. Staff responded yes. It is not anticipated that the use of the property will impose a public burden on existing utility services, public streets, or public services.
Agreed.
Agreed.
8, will the development and operation of the use create an excessive additional requirements at public cost for facilities and services that will be detrimental to the economic welfare of the community? Staff responded no. The use will not create any additional requirements to public services or facilities or be detrimental to the economic welfare of the community.
Agreed.
Agreed.
9, have adequate measures been taken to minimize traffic congestion in the public streets and provide for adequate on-site circulation of traffic, parking, and loading spaces? Staff responded yes. Staff has recommended conditions to keep truck traffic using the site off of residential streets. The site has a large amount of parking space already existing, and the loading spaces being used are as they exist today.
Agreed.
10, will the use result in the destruction, loss, or damage of natural, scenic, or historic features of major importance in the community? Staff responded, no. Warehousing on the property will not result in the destruction, loss, or damage of natural or scenic features in the community.
Agreed.
11, have impacts such as noise, odor, hours of activity, outdoor lighting, and site pollution been sufficiently addressed to mitigate impacts on nearby uses? Staff responded yes. Staff has recommended a number of conditions to address any potential noise being generated from the use of the property.
Does everyone agree?
Agreed.
Thank you.
12, do the benefits of the use outweigh the potential negative effects of the surrounding community? Staff responded yes. The applicant is proposing to put to use a building that has been vacant for years and is located at a major intersection when entering the community.
Agree.
Agreed.
Last question, 13. Will the use be required to adhere to any additional criteria outlined in section 9.2 for the proposed use? Staff responded, no, there are no additional requirements for this use outlined in section 9.2.
Everyone agree? Okay. Does anyone have any other questions about the report? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I'm getting there.
Mine's not moving at all, so.
Make a motion to recommend approval with conditions for the application of the Dayton Hudson Corp. to allow warehousing in a B3 zoning district on the property. Legally described as Lot 1, Block 1, Broadway, First Edition, and located at 1914 South Broadway.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Are there any other questions? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. When does this appear?
This goes to the city council on February 7th at 4 o'clock.
February 7th at 4 o'clock. All right.
Sorry, 4:30.
4:30? Okay. Thank you. I got that. Reports, comprehensive plan?
Okay, I just wanted to provide a brief update. The next comprehensive plan steering committee meeting is going to be on February 15th at 4 p.m. at the Public Utilities Conference Room. This meeting is specifically going to be on parks and trails and utility services. So we are going to have Parks and Rec commission members there and staff. And we'll also have public utilities and our engineering staff there as well. So it's going to be a pretty packed room. We're expecting like 30-ish people.
What about the DNR guy from Flandreau, the new park guy?
Craig Beckman?
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll be invited as well.
Yeah, because that would be critical, I think, for that area out there. He has a lot of comments and things about that
Great
development.
suggestion.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have any questions on the comp plan?
I want to just add one more thing just for highlights. So as of yesterday, we had 735 responses to survey number 2. The last time we all looked at the results from survey number 2, which is like almost 3 weeks ago now, we had a really low number of that 18 and less responding. So we sent out emails to all 3 schools in the community, and now that number's jumped up to almost 13%.
Wow.
So we've had a lot more responses from the young people there. MLC also agreed to send it out to their student body yesterday because we're still missing that 18 to 24 age range. So hopefully we see those numbers increase and hopefully we can get to our 1,000 that we're hoping for.
What about the senior citizens? Have they? It seemed like it was awfully low in the age group 65 and up. But has that?
That number is still fairly low, and we're trying to get out the word. They're the best that we can. Well, 65 to 74 is 12.4% of the
okay.
respondents. 75 and older is 3.6. So after 75, it really drops down.
Okay. All right.
Well, and I mentioned to you, John, too, that, you were going to put a flyer in with the utility bills. And I just mentioned to you that our utility bill didn't come until yesterday or the day before. So there's notices that were in those utility bills. Hopefully that might generate a little bit more interest, hopefully.
Yeah.
One that also, that age range may not have access to take it as easily.
Yeah. Actually, it's surprising. I know, because they do have them even in the nursing homes. They have, and there are people that use them, but yeah, it's probably not a real active age.
Well, Oak Hills has offered to have their activities coordinator bring it around with an iPad to
Okay.
their residents and work with them to fill it out. So we might get a few more that way.
Oh, that would be great. That would be good. Thank you. City council decisions concerning planning commission matters in January.
Okay, so in the first meeting in January, the new mayor took the oath of office, as well as Second Ward City Councilor Eric Warmka and Fourth Ward City Councilor Larry Mack. They also made appointments to different commissions, and Counselor Mack was appointed to the Planning Commission again. The City Council approved the variance of John Hanson to allow a commercial kennel at 210 3rd South Street. I can tell you he is already using that site, and I believe he's already kenneling dogs there. They also they had the first and second consideration of amending Appendix A to allow warehousing, wholesaling, and distribution as a CUP in the B3 zoning district. And again, that will go into effect February 19th. And lastly, they had the approval of the appointment of Joe Schatzko to the Planning Commission. And that would conclude the City Council action items.
Heritage Preservation, there was no meeting, evidently?
Nope.
All right. Is there any other business to come before the commission?
Nope.
Comments? If not, we stand adjourned. Record.
Is it?